In this video, I'm going to show you how to get 5 to 10 clients every month for free. So if you're looking for more clients or if you're looking for your first few clients, this video will break down how to get them and how to do it without spending money on advertising. So when you're trying to get more clients, there are two variables that you have to play with: time or money. And when you're starting out, then chances are you're going to be using your time to generate clients. As you grow, you might want to then start using money to generate clients in the form of advertising. The difference between these two things is what we call outbound marketing and inbound marketing. Outbound marketing is where you go out to people and you put your message in front of them yourself using time. Inbound marketing is when we pay an advertising platform to put our message in front of people and therefore they come to us. So outbound is us going out to them, it takes time. Inbound is having people come to us. It takes money, which we pay the advertising platforms to put our message in front of these people. So when we're using inbound marketing, which would be spending money to run ads, on average, we would need an ad to get at least 1,000 impressions before we could decide if that ad was working or not. That means that we need that ad to be seen by at least 1,000 people before there's enough data and information to decide whether or not that messaging that we're putting in front of people is actually being effective. The reason I tell you that is because when it comes to outbound marketing, meaning spending time to get clients, what most people do is they might speak to 2 or 3 people. They might spend one day and get in front of a couple people and then declare that it's not working and give up. If we compare that to the 1,000 people that we need to get our message in front of when using inbound marketing, spending money, 2 or 3 is not enough. And so the biggest thing to understand when it comes to generating clients for free is that if you're spending time to get clients, you need to actually be spending time. If you're not at the point where you're spending money by running ads, then you need to put in time, and understanding this benchmark of roughly 1,000 impressions before we know if a marketing message is working is roughly what you should be shooting for. The other mistake I see people make is they get too caught up on the strategy and they're looking around for the best strategies to get clients for free, and they go from one strategy to the next. They give it very little effort and they only want to find the one strategy that's guaranteed to work. But the thing about strategies is for any strategy to work, you need a level of skill. For example, when I started my business, I was doing door to door. I would knock on different doors and I would try to book a meeting. When I first started, I would need to go to 30 different businesses to book a meeting. So that's 30 businesses, 1 meeting. After a few weeks or a few months of doing this, I got it down to 3 businesses to 1 meeting. So I 10x'd my output by developing the skill. The strategy stayed the same, but my skill improved. And so at the start, when you're starting out with your outbound marketing, chances are you don't yet have the skill to use a strategy effectively. The mistake a lot of people make is they don't do anything because they're trying to find the perfect strategy. But the perfect strategy doesn't exist. Yes, there are differences in strategies, and in part 2 of this video, I'm going to break down a strategy that you can use. But understand, when you're starting out, you probably don't have the skill to make any strategy very effective. And so you have to make up what your lack of experience with effort. So they're the 2 things you need to understand. Number 1 is you need sufficient volume. If you're sending 1 message a day for a couple of days and you don't get any sort of positive return, then of course you did. You need enough volume to hit enough numbers so you can start to get enough data to know that what you're doing is working or not. The second thing to understand is by doing that, by increasing the volume, you will develop the skill. And at the start, you will need higher volume to make up with what you lack of skill. So what you want to understand when it comes to outbound marketing or any marketing in general is there's 2 things we're trying to test: attraction and conversion. And whether you're doing outbound, trading time to get clients, or inbound, where we're trading money, those 2 skills are what's required. We need to know how to put out messaging to pull people in, to get attention. And then step 2 is, once we've got that attention, how do we convert that into clients or sales? I've created another video that explains how to turn engagement into sales. So if you're already getting that engagement and attention, I'll leave a link in the description below. But if you're not getting that engagement or attention, then the first thing you need to figure out is, how do I create messaging that is going to pull my ideal prospects in? This part of the process, it's really important that you think of yourself as a scientist, because what we're doing is we're testing your messaging. We're testing, if I put this message out, are people responding? What a lot of people do here is they attach their messaging to themselves. Meaning, if I send someone a message and that person says, no, I'm not interested, most people take that as I'm failing and people aren't interested in me. When in reality, they're just not interested in the message. So what you need to do is detach yourself from the outcome, think of yourself as a scientist, and understand when you're testing these two things, your attraction and your conversion, these are separate things. They're not attached to you. These are just messages. And by doing this, we can say it to people, we can see how people respond, and then we can change it. If we're attaching our value to this person said no to me and therefore I suck, that's the wrong way to think of it. What we need to understand is they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to what you're saying. It's a separate entity. So understand, as you're doing your organic, or you're trying to get clients for free using outbound marketing, which is going to take time, you need enough volume before we can make any decisions. If you send one message and no one replies, well, that's not a reasonable amount of data to make a decision. You need more data, you need to send it to more people. Keep in mind, when we're doing inbound, when we're running ads, we want at least 1,000 impressions before we can decide if a message is working. Do you need 1,000 messages in outbound to know if something's working? No, you could probably do it in 20 or 50 or 100. But if you're just sending one or two, it's not enough. And so that is how outbound marketing works. That is how we get clients for free, by trading time. Once you develop those two things, messaging to pull people in and messaging to convert people, then you can either use money to pay platforms to put your message in front of those people once you know it's working, or you can pay people to spend time doing the outbound for you. There are two ways you can scale it. The way you decide to scale it is up to you. In the next video, part 2, I'm going to give you the actual strategy of doing this, but this is most important because this is where most people get stuck. They try to find the perfect strategy, and the perfect strategy doesn't exist. I could give you the world's best strategy or the world's worst strategy. If you don't have the skill to make either of them work, then neither of them will work. Whether you're doing outbound, spending time, or inbound, spending money, once you have developed the skill to nail those two types of messages, attraction and conversion, then any strategy you use will be more effective. So right now, your goal is to develop the strategy, get good at putting out messaging that pulls people in, and then get good at creating messaging that converts those people into paying clients. If you do that, you'll be able to generate new clients every single month consistently, and from there, you can scale things up with money or someone else's time. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Stay tuned for part 2, where I break down an actual strategy you can use, but understand that this high level is the most important thing to this entire process. So thanks for watching. If you have questions, drop them down below. If you'd like to make sure you see part 2 when we release it, if it's not out yet, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.